Good morning and happy Sunday if you are in the Southern Hemisphere or Asia Pacific. And happy Saturday if you are in America or the UK. My name is Lala Angela Wang. I am your host to Range Woman, the variety show. I am so excited. It's episode 28. And for those of you who have been following me for the past month, you'll know I set out a mission to do 30 podcasts in 30 days. And today is the day. I'm super excited. And I've also got a very, very interesting and inspiring guest on today with me, Carmelle Crinnion from Centum Healing. Wow. I read her bio and she is incredibly amazing. For those of you who's watched Charmaine's interview, so I knew Carmelle through Charmaine as a connection and read her story. She is fascinating. You're going to want to watch this. There's a lot of interesting stories throughout her lifetime. And really, without further ado, I would just love to bring her on and she can tell you all about her. Let's welcome the amazing Carmelle. How are you, Carmelle?
Thank you, Lala. I'm wonderful. Thank you. Beautiful to be on your show. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to ask you this question about when you first started channeling out of nowhere, because that's kind of a slightly, I think, different experience for different healers and spiritual people who will have different gateways into spirituality. And for me, it was like I desired to channel, so I learned how to channel. But for you, it's almost like the complete opposite. It just kind of came to you through nowhere. So what was that experience like?
It was crazy wonderful. It was something, yeah. It was out of this world. It was deeply moving. So in the lead up to the first experience of actually channeling words, I had been on a pathway to discovering who I really was, and I was quite lost for quite some time. And I found a wonderful psychologist and a kinesiologist, spiritual kinesiologist, and I was listening to Abraham Hicks. So I heard, the concept of channeling, and I saw this this person I was working with, connect with the spirit world, and I just thought it was so fascinating, and it sort of took the edge of my fear off this whole spiritual world because I was from a Catholic background. So I began to really open up to it and had this great desire to be more a part of it, to grow into more of this. I just couldn't get enough of it. So I was listening, and then I did a course in kinesiology. And as I was doing my practice over one of my clients in the practice hours, my hands just started to move and do the correct healing techniques themselves. So I didn't need the books, I didn't need the training. And because my instructor was a channel herself, she said, just go with it. Just listen and trust, because you do trust, and I know you do. And so then I started introducing it into my practice. So that was what I was doing. Then the next thing that happened was I started to get confirmation through nods of my head. And the first time that happened was as I was driving home from that kinesiology training one day, and I had to meet my husband and my sons at a christening. And it was one end of Sydney to the other. And I wasn't exactly sure of everything, the directions there. And I started and I thought, I've got to get onto this main freeway. I wonder if I should go here. And I'm asking myself these questions in my head, like, should I take this exit? And as I was saying that, I just got this, and I went, okay. So I took that exit, and I got this all the way through until I knew where I was. And I thought, that's not me. That's coming from, that's me, but that's a connection to this higher source. And it's showing me that I'm connected, and am I listening? So that was the next year. It was crazy awesome. And so then fast forward a few months, however, I wasn't allowed to use that just willy-nilly. So, and that was really tempting. It was so funny, because then you go, should I wear pink or purple today? Pink, yes, purple, no, and then you'd be set up with these crazy colour combinations, and you look at yourself, oh my God, you're messing with me. So it was like, we're not going to take away your free will, but we just want you to know that there's communication. There's a big channel of communication open, but don't you dare lose your free will and your humanness. But of course you're going to test it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So then one day, so then fast forward, I went to Peru at the end of 2012. And I came back from a beautiful spiritual experience in Peru. A few weeks later, I was driving along in my car and just the words came out, we're ready to speak through you now. And I've gone, I know I said that, but I didn't say that. Who is this? And I've gone, it is I, Mother. And I said, okay. And I don't know what to say. And she said, we're going to teach you our language and we're going to teach you how to channel and you're going to use it in all of your sessions. I went, okay. And that was the first communication.
Oh my God. I got goosebumps.
I know, yeah. And from then, every time I got in the car, for any period of time, on my own to begin with, and then after that, it was when my boys were in the car and they just heard it and went along with it anyway. They knew that I wasn't, they knew that I was talking to the angels. So as I would get in the car, I would be taught, it was like an elocution lesson that I was given. So I'd get in the car and I'd just be driving along, not even thinking of anything, and I'd just come out, and so I would have to pronounce these things just right. They knew that I had a voice that was capable and an articulation that was capable of bringing through this at the highest level and the highest frequency. So I wasn't going to get away with just mumbling and muttering words. So, yeah. So how's that for weird?
Wow. But did you ever, like, the question I have with obviously light language is, do you ever understood the meaning of those words as they're channeling through you, or were they just words?
It's a frequency and it's a vibrational frequency. At the beginning, I wanted desperately to understand. More so, my clients wanted desperately to understand. What are they saying? What did they say? What did they say? And I would try and accommodate them by sort of trying to get confirmation and asking, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I would get very general concepts, like love and all the rest of it. But the thing is that love exists in millions of different facets, and the word love is something that's experienced differently. So if they say, well, that was just love, it could have been, a million different varieties of the type of healing that just came through them. It could have been a healing love from abuse. It could have been a love of enlightenment, a love of opening itself, a love of healing a body part, a love of healing an emotional trauma. It could have been a love of, someone who had passed or someone who's coming. So all these different facets of it would be included. But the two words that I was given the direct translation was and something I repeated over and over, halum is, they told me, that is love, and halun is light. So halun, love and light. Okay, so that was very, very prevalent in those first years that I was channeling. It's gone on to progress, and as I have become much more practiced and I've deepened, my experience, and I've always been wanting to learn more and go further. The language has broadened just, exponentially to include so many different dialects and facets. And I sing and I tone, and the tones that I bring through and the frequencies, they're all designed to alter the frequencies, the codes that people hold within themselves, to bring the circuit breaker in.
That is so good, because I think a lot of times as human beings we desire a logical answer, and I love you mentioned the word trust. Like, so much of spirituality is really just about that trust and trusting whatever coming through is the right thing for this moment. So I love that. Thank you. So tell us, for those of you or us that don't know who you are, what you do, who is Carmelle and what do you do?
Okay, well, that's interesting, because the name I was born with is Carmelle, Carmel. I've recently had a name change to Carmelle, which is the double L-E on the end.
That was literally my vision board fell off my altar and knocked the light off.
It must be time for a new vision board, Lala.
That was brand new. Must be time for a new vision board, yes.
A few tweaks, I think.
I think so. Yeah, thank you.
So I feel this year, I was talking about change, I feel this year I'm going from Carmel to Carmelle in the biggest ways possible. And I didn't understand what this change was. I just knew that I had to do it. And so who am I, Carmelle? I knew from a very young age that that there was a place that I could visit that was very sacred, and I love to get there, and that would happen in Mass, you know, and I'd find that sacred place. But, you know, that didn't come about to this whole spiritual awakening until, you know, 10 years ago or so. So who am I? I was born and raised in Wollongong, and I met, you know, my first love at 17, and we got married. We travelled to Papua New Guinea, and that relationship didn't work out. So I came back, moved to Sydney. I had my 2 daughters, and then, you know, things happened, and then another relationship down the line. I had 2 sons, so I've got 4 children. And over those years, as well as being, you know, a wife and a mum, I've been an athlete as well. So I've been involved in the fitness industry for over 30 years. I've competed in competitive triathlon. I did that for 5 years until some health issues put a stop to that. And I teach Pilates is my biggest passion right now in the fitness world. So I teach around 30 classes a week of Pilates and barre. I teach barre as well. And just love it. I love the interaction with members and with clients, and as well as doing my own, of course, my private healing work at home. I run meditation classes, and I do one-on-one sessions, which are just always magical and always so unique. Have a great life. I've got my eldest son living with me at the moment. My youngest son sort of comes between us as well, between his dad. We're still very close geographically, but we also get on great, as does my other ex-husband. So our family gatherings are always very mixed, and there's families everywhere, and there's just love.
I can imagine Christmas at your place would be very interesting and just a lot of laughter.
Yeah, we've got so many stories. I mean, you know, we all know that our family is not normal by any means, but we all know that there's so much love, and we've all done the best that we have known how to, and there's been waves and rides along the journey, but, you know, my kids are incredible. They're grateful for me, I'm grateful for them, and, you know, without their support, this book wouldn't have come, you know, to fruition. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and you know, it takes that close support and love of a family. And even though we're, you know, a split family, I think that we've done it extremely well.
That is rare. That's what I'm going to say. And that's amazing. My question is, how did you, I guess, what was let me rephrase this in my head. How did you manage to kind of create that atmosphere for your kids so they feel loved regardless, and still be able to feel free to be and not feel like they have to take sides?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it all, you know, I mean, when my ex-husband and I separated, it was done with a mutual love and respect. It was something that we both didn't want, but we knew had to be. You know, the marriage wasn't what we wanted it to be. It hadn't been for quite some time. The time had come, and we both knew it was time to part ways. So it was done with absolute respect, integrity, love, and the values of the family unit, number one priority. So when it comes from a place like that, there was never any squabbling over anything. Yeah, we might have got pissed off with each other at stages, but that's human life. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. But, you know, the underlying current is one that we all, you know, we don't get anything out of bad-mouthing anyone else, and that's never going to lead to anything positive. So we take the best out of each other, and we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. And that's something that we bring up as well. Well, that person isn't great at that, so just have to get that and, give them space or give them time, or just let that go, or stand up for yourself and say something and don't put up with it. It's a matter of boundaries, setting your boundaries, but also allowing things to unfold and then to rectify with communication.
One of my favorite saying is that people are in our life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Mine too.
And I found when you do live your life by that, you have so much more respect for people and understanding that when the time is up, that's just what happens.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. That is one of my closely. That saying comes in with another one that I sort of coined this phrase a few years ago in one of my sessions, and it's just remained there ever since. And that's your uncomfortable comfort zone. And I believe a lot of us reside there because it's uncomfortable, but it's also comfortable, but it's not so uncomfortable that it's going to make us get out of it. So we come back, we reside in the uncomfortable comfort zone, whether it might be in a job that we're not completely happy with, or a relationship that isn't ticking all the boxes, but we're not sure what to do about it. So we keep coming back and finding ourselves landing in the middle and going around again in Groundhog Day. So I say, you've got to get out of that uncomfortable comfort zone, be uncomfortable, work through the discomfort and see where it takes you. Stop being afraid of the change or the fear of the change that you think is going to happen. But yes, it's reason, season, lifetime, and that's something that, if I didn't also live by that, like you obviously do, I would be in a very dark place indeed.
So tell me though, how do you go from, having a couple of divorces and then still have, I guess, that trust and faith in relationships? I have clients will come to me and go, well, relationship doesn't work out for me. Maybe I'm meant to be single forever. So how do you have that trust and faith in relationship even though things hasn't worked out for you?
Because of the intimacy I've experienced within marriage and how sacred and how beautiful and how irreplaceable that is. And that's no accident, and that's not something that I regret. So to be in that sacred space where you can really submit yourself to the other person and them to you, and there's no greater thing. That's just the beauty of life, experiencing that, because you grow each other. And the growth that I experienced throughout my marriages was incredible for both of us. We both lifted each other up, and just because it came to an end doesn't mean that I don't think that that's available in the next relationship for me and for them. And like you said, but the next one might be for a short season. The next one might be for a medium season, might be for a long season. But that's okay. Let's take the seasons. Let's take the seasons for what they are. So I've had some incredible seasons filled with intimacy and memories and love, laughter, and getting through the tough times. And you can't discount that.
No.
And I don't get how. I do get it. There's jealousy, bitterness, shame, blame, all of that, anger, and abuse, and that's really sad. However, I have no regrets.
And I think
and I do have a lot of trust and faith.
Sorry?
I do have a lot of trust and faith in what's coming.
Yeah, and I think quite often we, when a relationship ended, whether it's an intimate relationship, friendship, or even work relationship, we tend to kind of write everything off and go, well, that's it. That didn't work out, which means that was a shit experience and that's it. But what we forget is to go back and look at, like you said, all the memories, all the lessons learned, all the things that have made us a better person at the other end, even though it didn't perhaps end it the right way. But there's still lessons, still memories, still all the things that has made us who we are today. So we'll never be the same person compared to when we first started that relationship. And I think that's a lot of times what people are writing off in terms of relationships.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. People are just filled with a lot of anger and bitterness. They feel like they have to show it and voice it. And
So the thing I found interesting about you is it sounded like spirituality didn't come to you in an instant or on the day that you were born. In fact, you had triathlon as one of your repertoires for 5 years. So is there anything in common between triathlon and spirituality, do you think?
Absolutely. You can go to your own space. It's a lot of solo training. 3 times a week in a pool doing laps for 90 minutes, and yes, you've got your coach there telling you what to do, but it's a personal, I was going to say personal battle. Sometimes it is a personal battle that you wage out during those solo sessions following the black line. Your mind goes through, you start counting. It's sort of like a meditation. You're counting your strokes, you're counting your breaths, you're going in. So it takes you into that forced meditation. Running allows you that time. I was never one to run with earphones in and listen to anything. Never, ever, ever. Hated it. Yeah, I always had to get out and just feel and see what was out there and get lost in my own, the struggles of having a hard day and, if I just make it the next kilometre, then I'll walk, and then make it there and go, I'll just make it another K, and then, and I'd make these bargains with myself along the way. And it was, I honestly think that I solved a lot of things in my mind on my long runs and on my swims. And it wasn't necessarily because I went out to thinking, on this run, I'm going to sort this in my head. It was just that I gave myself space for nothingness and for pounding the concrete and for splashing, doing the laps. And that cleared shit out of your space, so that then allowed stuff to drop in that all of a sudden in the next day or 2 days or week, all of a sudden something would seem really clear. And you'd know without a doubt that, something had shifted. You felt confident about making this decision rather than that decision, or not being confused, or the fear went. Yeah. So it clear when you've got that space, and I really do think it's like a meditation training.
I completely resonate. Not being born a runner, I've always thought that I can't run because I've got short legs. And when I first got separated with my ex-husband, that was one of the things intuitively I knew I needed to do, run. And the vision, the downloads, and the conversations that I have with myself is exactly like what you said. There's a lot of bargaining happening, but also when you get into that clear head space, I just remember every time after a long run, I would have a download, a post to write, or something to do. And I never could quite articulate it. And I think you articulated it perfectly. It's almost like you go into that trance, and it's literally a meditation, and everything just drops. And you get that clear headspace, basically.
That's right. Your focus goes into your body. Your body does what it's need. You're pushing your body. And so all of your energy is in that. So then it clears this. Clears your mental space. Yeah. And even, your emotional space. At one stage, when it was getting towards the, end stages of my marriage, I used to use it more of an escape, because that was where I could show my raw emotions and break down, because I was going through such an internal battle, because I did not want it to end. I did not want to leave. I did not want this. And it was such a struggle, and I didn't want to face it. So I would literally go and I would sob, and I would stop and walk for a while, just sob and sob and sob and let it all out. And, that was where I could do it safely. I felt so safe and held in that space. That was my sacred time and space. And for me to go out there and just be alone, have no one telling me what they thought I should do, because it was ultimately something within me and within the two of us.
And you can so totally cry and run at the same time. I've done it so many times. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm just crying and sobbing and running away at the same time.
It probably increases your fitness.
Good point. So you talked about how you used that as an escape, but at what point when you just had that clarity and go, okay, now I'm ready. I think it's time, even though I didn't want to leave, I think I can do this.
Well, it was mutual. It was just a conversation that we had one morning, and he could tell that I wasn't myself. And he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I just don't think." I stopped and I thought, I've got to say how I'm really feeling. And I said, "I don't think I've got anything left to give us." And he thought about it a minute and he said, "You don't think you have? Well, you haven't." And then we allowed ourselves space in this conversation, and I said, I haven't got anything left to give." And in that instant, we both knew that was the end. Yeah. We slept in the same bed for weeks after, until he moved out. And we hugged and we cuddled and we cried and we were there for each other. And it was the most loving separation that I've ever heard of.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you believe that it's somehow divinely guided? Because it really sounded similar to how we ended our marriage as well. It was literally like I couldn't hold it any longer and I couldn't pretend any longer. And remember, my ex-husband asked me the exact same question: "What's wrong? You haven't been yourself." And it was literally that floodgate that had opened. But I vividly remember that week before that conversation, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can break this guy's heart. Just give me a sign, almost like giving a doorway so we can have this conversation. Yeah, and that was literally that doorway that the universe has created for me.
That's true. You asked for it and it came there. Whereas other people would say, "Oh, no, I'm waiting for a doorway." I'm literally waiting for something that's like a, raining down from the skies. It's like that. But you've got to know intuitively, oh, that's the gateway. I've got to now enter into that and segue.
I think we're all looking for like a big holy doorway that just opens.
Yep. Because then we wouldn't have to go through the emotional stuff. But then we wouldn't grow. We'd get them to do our dirty work.
That's so right.
And we'd get off scot-free and we'd be happy and there'd be butterflies and fairy dust and we wouldn't have any growth experience at all. No challenges. We'd all be rich and happy and, loved up.
Wouldn't it be great?
No.
And that wouldn't be a human experience, would it?
No. We chose to come here to grow through our adversities, and here we are. And you have to use what we're given, the raw material that's in front of us. That's the ingredients in our kitchen. It's like, what am I going to do with that? How am I going to put this together and make it work? That doesn't seem to fit. Do I keep it until it goes off? Or do I just say, I'm going to put this to better use or give it away? Or will I combine those because they work really well? And I think that's probably a really good analogy. I get a lot of analogies as just in it because I'm always channeling. Sometimes it just streams through very, very easily in a big channel. Other times in every session I do, there's analogies that suit the person, stuff that I would never have thought about. It's something quite intense. I was talking to a lady outside the Pilates studio the other day, and she was telling me about a situation that she felt, in conflict with, and it was about moving to another country, relocating for work with her family. And she said, "Oh, I don't know, I'd like it as a holiday, but I don't know if I could live there. And now I'm really scared because it's decision time, and I don't know if I can do it." And I just said, it's a pause. It's a comma. That's what I said. It's a comma. It's not a full stop. It's a comma in your life. And I've never said that before in my life. I didn't even know where it came from. And she looked at me and she went, "Oh my God." She said, "That's my saying. I have told people that so many times in my life, and you've just brought my own words back to me." She said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "In your field, it just boomed it inside of me and I spoke it because I trusted what I was going to. I didn't think, that sounds weird. I'm not going to say that." Out. And that's what I do. Yeah. So it's just those intuitive things that come out, that bring the most amazing, as you said, you come out with analogies too. Yeah.
So would you say your spiritual path or your spiritual journey has kind of just been like that? You trust the process and you just progress. I don't know. Do you progressively learn things, or do you think that you literally just come to you all in waves? Like, there we go. Here's your plate of gifts. Like you described the food. There you go. There it is. How did you come to, I guess, this point in time? And what was some of the guidance that you have received besides the channeling thing that we spoke about earlier?
What a loaded question. Wow. It definitely comes in increments. From the very beginning, when I say from the very beginning, from the first time I received kinesiology from my psychiatrist, it was life-changing. It changed me. I broke down in tears and I said to her, do you mean that my body knows that in here you can draw out this knowing that I have? I actually, like, you mean I have a soul? I thought I didn't have a soul. It's like I felt like other people had to choose things. I felt so powerless. And that session it broke the ice into a spiritual awareness that I had no idea existed inside of me, that I buried down so deeply because of my Catholic upbringing and because of society and family and the life that I was born into and whatever, I didn't have access to it. She, in that session, opened that access. She unlocked, that access to that part of me that I didn't know existed. And from there, synchronicities happened. But I went with my intuition, with the synchronicities. I trusted, I followed, I did the steps. And then, after a few years, then I believe with those steps, I gained the confidence to trust myself that I could do this on my own. I wasn't running away to another man. I wasn't escaping anything. It was a decision that I knew that I could. I didn't know how the hell I was going to support myself and my boys. However, that soon looked after itself, like in a crazy way. It was just like, how can this money be in my account? Like, how can I be looking after myself? How can I be making this money doing what I love to do? And I didn't know this was possible. And so just think, and then trust, and then trust in yourself for what you're doing and listening, and not listening to the ones who loved you so much they begged you to go and get a 9-to-5 job. And I went, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I've never had a 9-to-5 job since my daughter was born, when I was 24. And I'm not going to do it now. So I trusted myself enough. But you always get those people who are going to say something and you just go, no, going to go my way in that. So that's that's the key. That perverse person provided another key. It's like, 9-to-5 job, no. But okay, if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do? Not that they asked that, not that I asked that in the moment, but that then posed the question, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to make this work? Are you going to do another course? Are you going to trust your gifts? Are you going to promote yourself? So incremental.
I should talk about download breadcrumbs in life. That was the message I got. They're like breadcrumbs in life, and you just keep following those little breadcrumbs.
Yes, that's right. Yes, exactly. And they do. Sometimes it might be a wild goose chase, but that's okay because it usually ends up in you being very humble and learning more about yourself and how you deal with something that you maybe could feel embarrassed or ashamed about going in a certain direction. Maybe you lose money. Maybe you, embarrass yourself. Maybe something falls flat on its face. And, you say, well, that was a little detour on my path. And maybe I just wasn't in a great space and I was very lazy at the time and I followed a path that I thought was the easiest path. But we've all got those. We all have our strengths and that's where our looking after our physical body comes into it, because sometimes we're just not capable of being our best because our body is not nourished enough and it's lacking in things.
And I love how you say take action is also a part of it. It's one way of getting the messages, but if you're not taking action, they're not going to give you the next message and the next message and the message follow that. And I think a lot of people are thinking, you know, spiritual people would just sit here and meditate and calling things in.
No, and that's been a part of my journey too. I was probably one of those people who, you know, law of attraction, manifest, you know, think about it, but don't think about that, only what you think about. You know what I mean? That was very well and good in its age, but that served its purpose. We're beyond law of attraction now because that was not the complete law of attraction.
No.
That was to get us warmed up into accepting that we have this great power within us. But taking action instead of waiting for things to fall into our laps that's where people get stuck. They think, if I go to a healing session, if I do this, it's like, they're all wonderful, but you have to live your life as a human being and you have to listen to your intuition, not question it, not ask your gurus, not, you know, keep asking things in different ways, not try and work out exactly how to follow your intuition, because when you get an intuitive hit, it's usually do this, say that, make that phone call, eat that, do that. And you normally have to do it instantly. But what we do is we get intuition. We go, you should go for a run. You go, yeah, okay, I'll put that into my diary. I might do that next week. But if you went for a run now, you would get something would happen or you'd run into someone, whatever was meant to happen on the run that you were meant to go on that you didn't happen to you. So then you get another intuitive hit. Have a big glass of water and you go, oh, actually, I think I might make myself a juice. And you have your juice instead. So the first hit is the hit that you must listen to. Then
do it right away.
The very next word that comes in is the beginning of your mind trying to work out how to turn that around so it fits into your little life.
Yeah. And it's so good. Like, seriously, don't question and just do it, right? That's 100%. The thing. It's that simple.
Yep, and no matter how weird.
Yeah, and so often we overanalyze it.
Yeah.
Is that how your book came to you?
Definitely, yes. So, you know, I just wrote. Honestly, when I've reread my book, I read and I go, I wrote all this. Like, I don't even remember writing this, but it's the exact story of my life. And I just think, how did I write that? You know, and I was in the zone and I was recalling everything that I wanted to write. And yes, it's my life. But I thought, I actually don't remember writing that. So I just get lost in my own world and bring through exactly what needed to be in my book. And those were the times when I sat down to write. I never sat down and forced myself to write.
Wow.
Never sat down and forced it. No.
So now since we're in the topic of the book, tell us about the book and what is it about and who is that for?
Okay. Well, this is it. Oh, got a so it's
so beautiful.
I know, thank you. That's my daughter's beautiful girlfriend that she went to uni with. She does my photo shoots and my artwork, and she's just incredible. And Dawn Bates, my publisher, she just put all this together beautifully.
Wow.
So to tell you about the book. Okay, a lot of my clients have said over the years when I've shared stuff about my journey, they've gone, you should write a book. And I went, yeah, one day. And I just decided that one day I was looking into it. So I did a short author course through Jeff Brown and another Australian lady, Emma Franklin Bell. She had some stuff and I was, you know, dabbling in their stuff. And then and I wasn't taking a lot of action. I was getting some articles published, which was really nice. And then I came across Dawn Bates on a friend's timeline. And I actually thought it was my friend's post. And I was reading through and going, I didn't know you knew so much about writing books. I didn't know that. And then I went, oh, it's not you. And then so I made a comment. And then we just started a conversation, got on a call, and I immediately bought her 7-week author course. It was a big investment for me. And I did it on the spot, and it was really scary. But I invested heavily in that intuitive moment. And yes, it's come up that the fear of that, of like, oh, there was so much money, you know, it has come up to bite me in the bum sometimes. And she's picked up on that, and she said, what is it with you? And I said, I just feel like I spent so much money on this, and am I going to get it back? No, no. And she said, let's talk about that. And we would have the conversation, and we would get right through. And, you know, it brings up my fear of, you know, the whole money programs that I've run with, and investing in yourself and everything. And that's what I love about her, that you know, the coaching doesn't end with her sort of excavating this book out of me. She didn't teach me how to write. I already knew how to write, but she brought the book out of me. So therefore, it's just, you know, channeled in different ways, and it's about my life story. It's about, you know, the journey where I am now, and then I go back into the incidents in my life that have triggered the next parts and the next parts, the relationships that I've had, you know, being a mum, and the hard times, the good times, the bad times, the ugly, the health challenges, and the fitness industry, and my family, everything. I love it. I love the whole, and it just unfolded.
I can't wait to read it.
Hey, thank you.
You talked about health challenges, and I really want to talk about this because it's quite unique in my understanding. You talk about breast implant illness and Assure contraceptive devices and how that played a part in your life, and now you're officially device free. But I want to know, number one, what was the initial reason that you have put these devices in your system? And then what was the decision to take them out, and how did you go from device to no device and now fully embracing your body and having good health?
Yep. Great. Thank you. Okay, so the Assure devices, they're manufactured by Bayer, and they were around about a couple of years before I had them implanted. So I had my last child at 40, and because I'm extremely fertile, I decided that I didn't want more than 4 children. And I didn't want my husband at the time to have a vasectomy. He was, you know, younger than me. He didn't have, so I already had the 2 girls when we met. So I said, I want to do something, a permanent contraception, and I want to do it for myself, because if anything happens to me, I want you to be able to go on and have more children if you choose to. So I don't want to ever take that away from you. However, I'm done having my children, you know. And he was like, if that's what you want, you know. And so, and I did. I said, yes, I do. I do want that. So I went to my gynecologist, and he gave me the option of a few things. And this was something, you know, fairly new on the market. Me being me, I jumped in and said, that sounds great. It's permanent. Yep, I'm sure. No, okay, I'm good. Little metallic, they're titanium springs. They're only a couple of centimetres long. They're very fine, and they're coils. And they do a day surgery, just, you know, you're in and out, and they insert them into your fallopian tubes. Then the thing that happens is you grow adhesions around the devices, which block your eggs coming through from your ovaries into, you know, to be fertilized. So I thought, okay, that sounds perfect. And, you know, no, he said, no, safe. Yep, everything's great. Should be great, permanent, you know, no side effects, whatever. I don't know if he said no side effects, but he certainly was very encouraging to say how safe they were. So went ahead and had them. Within a few months, I started bleeding very, very, very heavily. And that continued for about a year. I went back to him a few times and said, my period is so heavy now. Like, it's really heavy. I'm losing so much blood and big clots, like huge clots. And I've gone from having super light periods all my life to having these. And he said, he just made up all the excuses. I think it's this time, maybe your body was going to change anyway. It's just your body. You've been on a contraceptive pill for a long time. Maybe this is just how your body is, you know. And he gaslighted me. So I then looked over there and went, well, it's not that. I wonder what it is. And but I didn't have any more answers. So I just put up with the heavy bleeding. So at that stage, I was in my 5th year of triathlon, and I was competing in Honolulu for my 2nd World Championships, and I was heavy in training for that. And after training one day, my coach picked up that I looked very pale. She said, are you sure you're not anemic? And I said, no, I feel great. It was just a really tough session. And she said, do me a favour and have a blood test. And so I went and had a blood test, and my iron was very, very, very low. And so I became anemic. And then I continued to bleed heavily and heavily. And then I could hardly run up. After a little while, it caught up to me physically. I did Honolulu, literally on pure adrenaline, managed to finish the race, still up into the top third of the finishers, you know. But then I came home and I had to hang up my joggers, my cozies, my goggles and everything. I just could hardly move, you know, I couldn't walk far, let alone run far. By this stage, the anemia had really kicked in. I started getting iron injections and things. Still didn't put it back to Eshaw. So by that time, Eshaw was out of my mind. I didn't think it was anything of it. So years and years go by. And then, so that was 2004 that I had those inserted. Fast forward to 2012, okay, and during this time I was on and off. He put me back on the contraceptive pill, my GP, just to stop the bleeding, just to give me a break from bleeding, because every month I would just gush out. Honestly, I didn't realise I had gushed from getting up from the toilet one day, and I walked out to do something, and as I was walking back, it looked like I had murdered someone and trodden in their blood and walked all over and back with them, because I didn't realise that all this blood had just gushed out as I was just on the way up from my toilet, the toilet pulling my undies up, you know, it had just gone. I'd accidentally stepped in it without knowing it and just trodden it all over the tiles, and I'm like, shit. That's what I'm talking about. That's the level of bleeding I'm talking about. And the bed sheets and the towels that I would have to sleep on. I'm talking blood loss like you wouldn't believe. So that's the level of anemia that I had. No iron stores, you know, the ferritin less than a reading of 3, which means they can't get a reading on it. Hemoglobin right down and everything. So fast forward to 2012, my marriage ended and I got, 2011. In 2012, I decided I'm going to get breast implants. I'm going to, you know, it's just something I want to do for me. So I got them. And I sort of regretted the decision a little bit immediately, because it was like, holy, what am I going to do with these now? I went from a small A to a D, and I really only wanted to be just a nice little B cup. But anyway, all that aside, I got used to them over the years. Then fast forward to 2019, and I heard about breast implant illness from one of my daughter's friends who had breast implants, and she said, I'm getting mine taken out. I don't want to risk not being there for my sons to see them grow up. So she had 3 young boys. She got, started her family very young, and she said, I'm just getting them out. I don't care what it takes. And I remember her getting them in, and I thought, oh, she's loved her boobs. Why would she want to get them out? And I thought, oh, she's overreacting. I was just like, breast implant illness. I was ashamedly, But then she asked me to join this Facebook group. She said, just have a look at this and find out some information for yourself. And I looked at it, went through the symptoms, and I thought, holy shit, I've got all of these symptoms. Hair falling out in clumps, brain fog, anxiety was increasing. It was getting out of hand. And all the spiritual healing and the work that I do on myself, it was like it wasn't even touching the surface. I was still anxious, and I couldn't understand all these. Really, the fatigue was unbearable, and I put that down to my anemia. But anyway, so I thought, you know what, I'm getting them out. So in February of this year, February 2020, I got them removed. I immediately started noticing my hair wasn't falling out in the huge handfuls that it was, in the previous years. And I had a rash that I used to get all over my torso. That immediately stopped. My brain started, losing the brain fog. So I noticed this as time went on. It wasn't as if it went bang, 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 but all of a sudden I realised I'm not feeling that anymore. That's not happening anymore. It's like, wow, they made a big impact on my health. I can't believe this. So synchronistically, someone posted in that group, something about Eshaw devices, and I went, I've got Eshaw. What's this lady talking about? And I followed the thread to that, and I was led to this Eshaw group. And I've read all the implants and the stories, and I learned that there was a documentary on Netflix called The Bleeding Edge, which is all about the Eshaw devices. I watched it, and I thought, I was right. And he gaslighted me. I was right, and that's been my problem from the very beginning. It's destroyed my life. It may have destroyed my marriage. It may have been the reason that I went into this place. So I started questioning everything, and I thought, these have to come out. They have to come out, because I believe I've got heavy metal toxicity in my body, and I believe that they are poisoning my body really badly. So on the 2nd of October, just gone, 2020, I had them removed. I'm recovering beautifully after surgery, and already I'm noticing more energy. Okay, so I've noticed a difference. I'm brighter. I'm noticing a marked change in my life, in my skin. I was prone to BCCs, which you can see a lot of scarring here that I've had burnt off and cut out. And I was in the sun a lot, yes, when I was training, but they were appearing all over my face, all over my body. And for the last few years, I've just been I've been on a plan with my health guy, to like, okay, we're going to have to do a plan. You've got all these things all over your body, and we're just going to have to do them one by one. And since then, no new issues with the basal cell carcinomas that were just popping up all over the place. And so synchronistically, I put things into my body, I've had them taken out, and now I'm on this healing journey, and it's only this year that I've started. It's only, 10 months ago that I began the journey of removing these devices from my body that were poisoning it with heavy metals and silicon in my system. So now my system is able to get back to feeding all of my bodily functioning systems. It's not having to give me brain fog so it can function to fight the heavy metal toxicity. It's not having to, take away some of my digestive processes so that it can focus on, just repairing my body where it needs to repair. It's beautiful the way my body is now healing itself.
And I can just imagine the channeling that's now flooding through, because you're so much more of a cleaner channel as well without all the toxins.
Yeah, and that's why this book I didn't plan on this book being released at the exact time that I finished getting rid of all the toxicity. But, it's called Unlocked. And I believe that I've just unlocked so many more things about myself. Yeah. Yeah. The name just fell into my lap, and I think it was on our first call with Dawn. I said, she said, do you know what it's going to be? And I just went, Unlocked. And I just thought, where did that come from? Where did that come from? I think there was a few words going around, and I just went, no, unlocked, just unlocked. I said, I don't even know what that means yet.
Not even future tense, not even present tense, has to be past tense.
Yeah. It's got to be unlocked. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I have so much fun talking to you, Carmelle. How do you pronounce your new name now? I
Carmelle.
Carmelle. There we go. How do we buy your book? Where can we find your book? Where can we find you if you want to work one-on-one with you, and even maybe participating in some of your workshops?
Beautiful. If you just search my name on Facebook and Instagram, that will come up, Carmelle Crinnion, and Amazon. The book's available on Amazon. So, and it's available. If you go into bookstores, you can also order it. Libraries, you can order it. It's got all the codes. It's it's registered internationally. So you can go into any bookstore. They will have it in their database, and you can order it if it's not available there. Otherwise, Amazon. And it's available here in Australia. A lot of clients at the gym and members are ordering their copies now. So hopefully it arrives, very, very quickly. Mine arrived, I got a few copies from the publisher, and they arrived in a couple of days.
They're pretty good these days with print on demand, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And how do we work with you?
How do we work with me? Contact me through my Facebook or Instagram, or and on my Facebook page there's a contact me button that you can hit. Also, what's the best way? Yeah, that's the best way. DM me.
No worries.
Yeah, I know. Or my website is carmelle.com.au. No, just got .com. Carmelle.com.
The link is actually on your Facebook page as well. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if you search me, if you Google me, I'm sure my website will come up as well. So failing that, just Google. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Carmelle. I had so much fun chatting with you, and you're definitely a pool of wisdom. Thank you,
Thanks,
thank
Lara.
you,
It's
thank
a pleasure.
you.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
definitely keep in touch. I want to book in a session with you.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank
All right.
you.
Pleasure.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.